For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. Yo, it's Chris, and I'm very excited to put a lid on this series, Deciphering Viral Verses, with a verse that is extremely popular. So I don't know about you, but I've heard this verse many times, and it's usually used in the context of, God will tell me right away what I should do. I'll hear from him in no time. See, that really isn't the case. See, in the actual context that it was written in, a Christian prophet, Jeremiah, was writing to the exiled Israelites who were wandering in the desert. And unfortunately, they had many years left in the desert. And while they were trying to get out of there ASAP, that wasn't really in God's plans. But how does that apply to us? Well, like the Israelites, we can experience that our timing doesn't exactly line up with the timing that actually happens. And I had a significant experience of this when I was in the Air Force. So, a lot of people don't know this, but yes, I was in the Air Force. And to this day, one of my favorite experiences was when I was in basic training. So after about 8.5 weeks, your family flies out and you essentially put on a show for them. This entails doing different formations and tons of marching. And at the end of that, you stand in parade rest, and the best part happens. Standing there, you wait for your family and your friends to relieve you from your stance. You can't move, smile, or do anything until they come up and tap your shoulder. It's such a beautiful moment. But here's the kicker for me though. My mom and my then girlfriend, now wife, couldn't find me. So all around me, people were getting tapped and they got to hug their loved ones. And here I am waiting, and waiting. So much so that my airman buddies would ask, do you want us to tap you out? And I would shake my head ever so slightly as to not break my military bearing. Then out of the crowd, these two small women come running up, and it's my two queens. I had so much emotion welled up inside, and finally they got to me, tapped me out, and I was able to move and embrace them. God works in very similar ways. So maybe you've had things you missed out on, like a promotion you were hoping for, or maybe you were in active waiting like I was in the Air Force, something like a college acceptance letter. Whatever the case is, God hasn't forgotten about you. He hasn't neglected you either. He just has you in the waiting. In a book in the Bible, Ecclesiastes, King Solomon talks about the times for things. Specifically, Ecclesiastes 3:2, he says, there is a time to plant and a time to pluck up what has been planted. A similar theme comes up in Jeremiah 29:11, us having to be patiently waiting. It's not that you've been forgotten, you're just not ripe yet. And there will come a time when you see what God has been preparing you for. As this is the end of a series, a new one, Navigating Mental Health as a Christian, will be starting up next week, so look forward to that. All of the previous episodes of this series are posted as well, and I promise there's more popular verses to clear up, and it's worth taking the time to dig a little deeper.